Okay students, so in this particular video we are going to study about the double circulation in humans. Now in humans there is four chambered heart, right? There are four chambers in human heart, four compartments, four chambers. The upper chambers are known as the auricles or the atria. The lower chambers are known as the ventricles. Okay, so now in this particular diagram you can see that this is the right auricle, this is the left auricle, this is the left ventricle, and this is the right ventricle. So how are you going to label these as right or left? So what you're going to do is that place yourself with this particular diagram. So when you place yourself with this particular diagram, then this is going to be my right and this is going to be my left. Okay, so what actually happens? This is the lung. Okay, so from the lungs a set of blood vessel is going to come out, that is called the pulmonary vein. You can see the pulmonary vein is going to come out from the lungs and it is going to empty the blood into the left auricle. Okay, so there is not a single pulmonary vein, actually there are total four sets hote hain, two from each lungs. So total four pulmonary veins are going to come out from the lungs and pour the blood inside the left auricle. So for the sake of convenience, in the diagram we just show this a single line depicting the pulmonary vein. So this is emptying the blood inside the left auricle. So from the left auricle the blood is going inside the left ventricle through this valve, which is known as the bicuspid valve. You can see this one, this is the bicuspid valve, and for the sake of convenience, again in this diagram I have just drawn two lines which are depicting this condition. Bi means two, so that is why two lines have been drawn here. So from the left auricle, where the left auricle is full of blood, it is going to contract and send the blood down into the ventricle, into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, now the blood is going to come out through this particular blood vessel, which is known as the aorta, and aorta is the largest artery. So from this aorta the blood is going to be distributed to the brain also and to the body also. So what kind of blood are we dealing with? We are dealing with the oxygenated blood, and that is the reason why you see this on the left hand side I have just colored these arrows as red, just to show that oxygen is present. So red indicates the red arrows are going to indicate oxygen, the oxygenated blood, right? So you can see that the left side of your heart, this left side of your heart is dealing with oxygenated blood, and it is actually supplying the oxygenated blood to the brain also and to the body also, and this is the reason why we call this kind of a circulation of the left side of our heart as the systematic circulation. Okay, as the systematic circulation, the left side of our heart is dealing with systematic circulation because the aorta is distributing the blood to the brain and the body. What kind of blood is it? It is the oxygenated blood, right? Now the blood has been distributed to your body, the blood has been distributed to your brain also. Okay, and whatever oxygen was there has been already provided to the tissues, already provided to the brain. Now the blood which is coming out from the body and out from the brain is not containing oxygen, that means it is deoxygenated. It has given all of the oxygen to the body and the brain and it is deoxygenated. So this deoxygenated blood is going to come out from the body through the blood vessel which is called the inferior vena cava. You can see here inferior vena cava. Okay, so from the inferior vena cava it is going to drain itself, the blood is going to drain itself into the right auricle. Similarly, from the brain, the blood vessel which is coming out, this is known as the superior vena cava. Okay, so from the word itself you can understand superior means from the top. Okay, inferior means lower, that means from the lower parts of your body. Inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, coming inside the right auricle, it is filling the right auricle. The right auricle is full of blood, so it is going to contract and send the blood into the right ventricle through a valve which is known as the tricuspid valve. Again you can see I have actually drawn three lines here which is showing the nature of the valve, that is tricuspid. Okay, so the valve is opening, blood is going inside the right ventricle. Now the right ventricle is going to pump the blood through this pulmonary arteries. You can see this is the pulmonary artery, as I have labeled here. This is the pulmonary artery. So from the right ventricle, pulmonary artery is going to come out and give the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, so that again oxygenation can occur, the lungs can fill the blood with the oxygen, so that again it can be circulated and this cycle can continue. Okay, so the right side of the heart, you can see the arrows I have colored with the blue, so that we can denote the nature of the blood, that is deoxygenated. So left side of the heart is dealing with oxygenated blood, the right side of the heart is dealing with deoxygenated blood, and this kind of circulation which the right side of your heart is undergoing, this kind of circulation is known as the pulmonary circulation. So it is known as the pulmonary circulation. So the left side of the heart is systematic circulation, the right side of the heart is pulmonary circulation. Why pulmonary circulation? Because the right ventricle is giving the blood, the deoxygenated blood, it is pumping the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. That is why this is the pulmonary circulation. So overall, if I am going to see the structure, if I am going to see the process, I can say that the blood is entering inside your heart twice. Okay, and the two processes, the first one is the systematic circulation by the left side of your heart, and the second one is the pulmonary circulation by the right side of your heart. And the nature of the blood, right now you can already see the left side of your heart is dealing with oxygenated blood, and the right side of your heart is dealing with the deoxygenated blood, right? So this is called double circulation. Why double circulation? Because of the presence of two kinds of circulation. The first is systematic and the second one is the pulmonary circulation. Okay, now when we are talking about this tricuspid valve and the bicuspid and the tricuspid valve, you can see that it can be very confusing to actually understand which kind of valve is present in which side of the heart. So in that case, you can see over here I have just written an abbreviation that's very simple, a word, RAT. So from this you can understand RAT means what? Right auricle tricuspid. So in this way you can just remember that right auricle contains tricuspid valve. So remember RAT, right auricle tricuspid. Okay, similarly I would also like to tell you that there are even valves which are present in your in the blood vessels which are actually pumping the blood. Like for example, the valve which is present in the aorta, at the beginning of the aorta, that is actually known as the aortic semilunar valve. Okay, the blood vessel which is present in the beginning of the aorta, that is actually known as the aortic semilunar valve. Okay, aortic semilunar valve. And the valve which is present at the beginning of the pulmonary artery, this particular valve will be known as the pulmonary semilunar. So pulmonary semilunar valve, right? So at the beginning of the aorta, the valve which is present is the aortic semilunar valve, and at the beginning of the pulmonary artery, the valve which is present is known as the pulmonary semilunar valve. So what is the function of these valves actually? What is the function of the valve? The function of the valve is to prevent the backflow of the blood. Please listen to me and kindly note it down also. So the function of the valve is to prevent the backflow of the blood. Okay, what do I mean by backflow? For example, the blood is coming from the auricles to the ventricles, right? It can so happen that, you know, if these valves are not present, maybe this the blood from the right ventricle can even go back into the right auricle, right? So for that, so that there is no backflow of the blood, okay, there should be only single direction of movement. The blood should not go back into the auricles. So that is why the valves are present, so that there is no backflow of the blood. Similarly, the semilunar valves, these semilunar valves are going to prevent the backflow of blood into the ventricles. Okay, into the ventricles. So this is the function of the valves. They prevent the backflow of the blood, and this is a process of double circulation, systematic circulation, pulmonary circulation.